Hi guys, and welcome to another kit review. So today we're going to have a look at a kit from Tamiya in 1/48 scale, and it is Tamiya's Messerschmitt Bf109 E-4 7 Trop. Okay, so basically it's a 109 E4 or a 109 E7. Trop refers to the air intake here, which was extended with additional filtering for North African climate. We had a lot of dust and dirt and stuff like that thrown up by the winds and the dry climate. Okay, so let's have a look at the box. So what we have here is actually an E7. It has the additional drop tank. The E4 was early war Messerschmitt 109, fought in the Battle of Britain. Unfortunately, because of its reduced fuel capacity, it only had about 15-20 minutes at the most over England before it had to return to France. Therefore, the German bombers attacking England, had no fighter cover for long distance raids. So what the Germans did was they altered it slightly. They added on a 300 litre additional fuel tank, and this created the E7. So the majority of E7s, by this time Battle of Britain was over, they were transferred to North Africa, where they were with JG27, if I remember rightly. And eventually, when the F model of the 109 came out, E4s were basically relegated to training, second line of defense, although some aces or some pilots retained their E's, but mainly in ground attack roles. Okay, so that's the variants that you're going to get. So you have options for a basic E4 without drop tank, E7 with the 300 litre drop tank, and of course you're going to have painting, I think, for probably France and definitely North Africa. Alright, because it's tropical. Okay, so beautiful artwork. Obviously you've got E7s up high following the contrails or vapor trails, depending on what you want to call them. They're basically contrails, and they're not chemtrails. Okay, it's just basically formed by the passage of a aircraft with a hot engine traveling through higher atmosphere, and these are ice crystals that form behind the aircraft. Anyway, enough of my rambling. Let's have a look at the box again. Like I said, beautiful artwork. On the side we have got, here we go, JG2, October 1940, Belgium. Okay, so that is an E4, right? No drop tank. And on the other side, so this should have a drop tank on it, although it could be an E4 as well. So add the drop tank, it's an E7. That's basically all there is to it. This JG27, September 41, North Africa. Okay, so as I said, up until about 41 or thereabouts, until the F series came in, these were Germany's frontline fighters. Alright, so that's the box. Let's have a look and see what's inside. Instructions. Okay, we'll have a look at those in a second. One sprue fuselage, so one bag. One bag clears. One bag of wings, and that's all there is. The sprues, decals, very comprehensive. I like that, very nice. And there we go, painting for, this will be a JG27 aircraft. Alright, so this is just Tamiya colours. It's always Tamiya colours, as you can tell. Alright, so fairly straightforward tropical camouflage. for North Africa. Possibly Italy as well, but more out or North Africa. I don't think these actually managed to get to Italy. Anyway, that's enough of me rambling. Put that away. The last bit of paperwork is just assembly hints, how to cut off the sprues, trim the flash off, drill some holes, etc. How to do the decals. Okay, usual things, fairly comprehensive, really nice, and how to do painting with spray can, Tamiya colours. Okay, so that's what's in the box. In a second, we'll have a look at the instructions and the decals. Okay, so instructions, fairly straightforward. So what you have here is history of the aircraft, and it does mention E-4 specifications, 20mm cannon, flight range of only 560 kilometers, so therefore E-4's had, and it even says there, 15 minutes combat over the British Isles. Same in German, French, and Japanese, I think. Seeing as this is a Tamiya kit, it's unlikely to be in Chinese. I can't understand either language, so please forgive me if I got it wrong. I beg your forgiveness for that. Okay, so it even mentions here, alright, so 109 F-type, fighter production was advanced, E-4s, 7s were retired from the front lines. So they were second line aircraft, backups, replacements, and things like that. Okay, so let's have a look inside. Usual Tamiya instructions, you have warnings, recommended tools. Okay, so you do have 3 variants here. So even though it does say there are 3 types, select one. Okay, it doesn't say which one there is. So you've got JG26 with the drop tank, JG27 without, and JG2 without. Okay, it doesn't actually say here the difference between an E4 and an E7, which is unusual, but yeah, it is what it is. Okay, so first up we start with cockpit assembly, and yes, you do get a pilot in this, so that's pretty good. Not many models nowadays actually even include pilots. So this is a 1998 kit, if my memory is correct, so therefore it is 22 years old. So detail, even for 1998 kit, should be pretty good. Okay, instruments, controls, seat, pedals, etc. Okay, so fuselage halves go together around the cockpit. There are instruments, etc. that go on either side of the fuselage inside. Even though it does say to paint the engine has very little detail. Right, it's basically plain block with exhaust on it. So even though you do get a separate cowling, I'd probably just seal it up anyway, unless you get an aftermarket detail kit. And then we go on to joining the wings together, and there are color call-outs throughout, but they're, as I said, they're all Tamiya colors, so you'll have to reference your own paint manufacturer's preferences. I use Vallejo, so that's pretty easy. I've already got their Luftwaffe color paint set, so I'm cool with that. Okay, so then you get to flaps, radiator cowling that goes underneath the nose, right? And then after that, okay, so leading edge, engine cowling, tail. As I said, the engine isn't really that detailed, so I'll be sticking the cowling down, but that's a personal preference for you guys. Right, and then it's just a matter of attaching the flaps, and you do get an option of whether you want the leading edge flaps extended or flat. Same with the trailing edge flaps, you can have them tilted down or straight depending on how you want them set up. It even shows you here exactly how they should look. Usually on the ground the flaps were down to make it easier for the pilot and his ground crew to actually access the cockpit. Okay, so next you've got your fuel tank. Alright, so that's your 300 litre additional fuel tank. If you're flying in the desert, you definitely want one of those. Undercarriage, okay, and then you've got your wing coolers, your aerials, etc. that go on, tail wheel, okay, additional fuel tank, undercarriage. Fairly straightforward, fairly easy kit to build, I think. Being a Tamiya kit, never usually have any problems. You do have a choice of 3 spinners, okay, that go on your propellers. It doesn't really explain which one's which, but then it comes down to E-4, E7, etc. Alright, and then canopy. Alright, propeller goes on. So you have here, this is the main difference between a standard E-4-7 and a tropical version, is the extended air filter. Okay, so if you're doing tropical version, this is the longer air filter, so that's version B in this kit. All right, JT27, operating in North Africa. And then of course you get the choice between a closed and an open cockpit, bulletproof glass, etc. that goes on the front, so that's another option for a later version. For JG2 they did actually put an extra piece of armored glass on the front to protect the pilot. Okay, and then we get to just the paint schemes and the markings. So as you can tell, fairly comprehensive markings, including the rib numbers on the aircraft. So all 109s had rib numbers. Okay, these are usually the, for me at least, the hardest numbers to put on, because yeah, I always seem to struggle with them, but perseverance wins in the end. It's all good. Anyway, so that's your basic steps here, handle here, fuel markings, rib markings, etc. So all your warnings, and then you get to your individual aircraft markings. So JT26, all right, that's your top and bottom views of JT26. Tells you pilot colors, okay, and again, like I said, it's all Tamiya colors, so your own references will count in that. JT27, North Africa, okay. Again, top and bottom JG27. Same again for the pilot. And then you've got JG2. Okay. So this aircraft with JG27 is flown by no one in particular. Same for the 26, JG26. This is flown by no one in particular, but option C in the kit is flown by Major Helmut Wick from JG2. Okay, so that's a particular fighter H, as you can tell, and I'll show you the decals in a minute, the kill marks on the tail. Okay, and that is it. On the back is just the Major's top and bottom view of his aircraft, usual instructions about flying decals, etc., and not much else. Alright, so that's the instructions. Now, this is a 1998 kit, so I don't want anyone to be upset, but it does have swastikas in it, okay? So, older kits you'll find are not as politically correct as they are nowadays, and they do include swastikas, which to me is appropriate. Got to tell history the way it is. Okay, so usual crosses, unit markings, aircraft numbers, and all your warning labels. And I'll give you a close-up of this anyway, so you're not going to miss out on anything. It does have kill marks, okay? So, very comprehensive instructions. Alright, and that is it as far as the decals and the instructions are concerned. In a second, we will have a look at the sprues. Let's have a look at the first sprue, which is the clears. Alright, so like I said, 1998 kit, but Tamiya quality and very clear. Right, don't have a problem with their cockpit colours. Alright, so you got back, middle, front. Okay, so that piece there, that is your additional armour plate to go on the front of the cockpit. Okay, so that's the clears. Also included are, I don't know if you can see these, two little polycaps. Okay, they are for the propeller. Right, they always give you spares, which is a good thing because they're quite small. Alright, so let's have a look at the fuselage. There's your fuselage sprue, fuselage halves, tail, okay, engine cowling, cockpit. This is your bottom cowling, pilot, and his controls, etc., including the instrument panel. Alright, so let's have a close look. Not bad. Good rib detail, although it's quite smooth. So it doesn't show up, it's not deep panel lines. It is there, and I can feel it with my nail, but it's not deeply etched. But it will show up if you paint this quite lightly. Alright, I know some guys like to gouge them out. If anyone's ever been close to a real aircraft, especially Messerschmitt's Spitfire, something like that, you'll notice that there aren't any deep grooves between the panels. They are fairly flush, okay? So I know people like to enhance them by digging them deeper and putting a wash through. That's all personal choice for me. I think less is more, personally. Less is more. Anyway, let's have a look. Tail, flaps, really nice ribbing detail, okay, on the tail fabrics. Yep, most definitely really nice. These are your two different air cleaners, tropical, normal, okay, exhaust pipes, engine cowling, bottom cowling. This is your cockpit, but of course there's no detail because you put all the details in. Pilot and cockpit including, don't know if you can see that, I'll try and get it. Let's focus, come on, focus, focus, focus. There you go. There's your instruments. Really, really nicely picked out instruments on this aircraft. Okay, so that's number one, actually number two. Number one, actually number two sprue, and the only other sprue is this one, which is the wings, of course. Plane's not going to go anywhere without wings. Additional drop tank, flaps, leading edge flaps, okay, undercarriage legs, tyres, wheel hubs, okay, and your spinners. Alright, so let's have a look at this. So the flaps have a really nice fabric detail. Okay, so yeah, they work. They weren't solid aluminium, so they did show after a while the stresses for the ribbing. Bottom, again, nice detail. The panel lines, although you can see them and you can feel them with your nail, they're not deep, so they will still pick out with pre-shading and what have you. They're really nice, very good detail, including access hatches, etc. Tires, nice tread detail, so really good detail on the drop tank. Wings, there are some marks on the wings where the plastic has sunk, so that's unusual for a Tamiya kit. It could be because it's an old mold. Even though this is a 98 kit, it's still available. This one, I got it cheap. I think it cost me about $15, $18 Australian. They are still available in hobby shops and things, so they're obviously still using the old mold. Nice detail on the spinner. So there's really nice detail on this, but you will have to have a look at putting a bit of filler on these wings here, where it's actually sunken. On the other side, the reason why it's sunk is the attachment points here for the flaps. Okay, so that's annoying, but not something that you can't actually fix. Okay, and that is literally the last sprue. So there is only 2 main sprues and the clears in this kit. In this kit. Okay, so there you have it. Tamiya's Messerschmitt 109 E4, E7, tropical. Nice little kit. Probably put this kit together over a weekend. The hardest, as usual. The thing that's going to take you the most time is just painting her up the right colours, especially if you choose for a tropical or something like that. So anyway, like this kit, it is Tamiya quality. It's the kind of kit you can do over a weekend, couple of weekends, you know. If you're in isolation because of the virus, perfect. Get this done in a couple of weeks, all done. Okay, so as usual guys, I hope you got something from it, and until next time, stay well, stay happy, and I'll see you later.